Welcome to the show, everyone. As all of you know, I have been doing this show for 13 years on KFNX, almost 13 years in August. And about, I don't know, it would seem like October, I don't remember exactly when, we moved to a new station, and I went to the wrong station today, thinking I was going to the old one for some reason. I don't know why. It was hysterical. Just the funniest thing that I would do something like that. My worst fear came true. But luckily, I had someone been on the show before and who was a pro practically from being on my show, and so I have with me Summer Hartman, and she is the owner of Summer's Sleep Secrets. Welcome to the show. We have been talking about you and what you do and some interesting things. Listen up, everyone, because if you have trouble sleeping, or your kids or your babies, your infants, she is the person you want to talk to. Tell us a little bit about yourself and what you do.
So I am a newborn care specialist and sleep consultant locally here in AZ, and I help families when they first come home from the hospital, and then I get the baby sleeping by 12 weeks, sleeping 10 to 12 hours a night, and then as a sleep consultant, it's mainly virtual support now, especially with COVID. So I help you get on a daily schedule and get your baby sleeping through the night within 3 to 4 days. So,
it's awesome what you do, because I remember when I had my babies, and they always had their days and nights mixed up.
Yep.
And it was probably the hardest thing, I think, of course, for parents, because one of the things that happens when your child obviously is now sleep kind of mixed up, I don't know if you call it deprived because they sleep other times, but the parent now becomes deprived in their sleep.
Right.
Not happy people at all.
No, not at all. I mean, sleep is we were just talking about this, it's mandatory. So if we're not getting proper sleep, that's the whole family. We're all going to suffer. If mom is suffering, the whole family suffers. So it is just something we have to teach our children and our adults.
Absolutely. We're live on Facebook, so hi to everybody out there. Like us and follow us. We're going to be sharing the show right afterwards. Okay. When you sleep training babies, what are the top 5 issues that you adjust?
So basically, the routine for the day, so that their days and nights are not mixed up. So we want to make sure that their circadian rhythm is got daylight, and then they're also, when it gets dark, it's time for bed. That's the number one. The other is feeding issues. Feeding issues are actually pretty much my number one too, because if they're not getting enough food during the day, they're not going to sleep through the night. They're not going to really have.
They're hungry.
They're hungry. So snackers. We have a lot of snackers out there. Nursing. 1 hour here, 1 hour there. It doesn't work, So we have to kind of adjust the day, adjust the nursing, or bottle feeding, whatever your preference is. But those are my top two. Blackout curtains is another one, because during the day it is so bright here and pretty much anywhere with the sun out. You want to have blackout curtains. That's going to help the baby sleep. A cool room, making sure the room is cool, not overheated, but also not making sure it's not too cold like an ice box. So there's a happy medium there. And then the other thing is just making sure that their room, just like an adult would have a safe space, their room is a safe space for them.
Aw.
So,
you know what else mine is? I got number 6 for you. I always wanted my kids to have their feet covered. I don't care what it was. And I'm that way too. I just have to have my feet. I don't care what it is or how hot it is. My feet got to be covered.
Swaddles and sleep sacks are my go-to. And you can have a sleep sack until they're 2. I mean, oh my gosh, we have children crawling out of cribs and parents freaking out when they're eating food in the cupboard, and it's crazy. So sleep sacks do help.
So your website is summersleepsecrets.com, and you work nationwide.
I do.
And you work you do free consultations, and you are rated with the Better Business Bureau, A+ rated. The phone number to call. Now this is something you're listening here. Maybe you've had your children, but you know what? Maybe you've got grandchildren. Maybe you've got someone who is just going to have a baby. What a wonderful gift to give someone. Instead of going with the clothes, which is really cute, how about a little consultation and some time with Summer? The number to call her direct is 866-976-4944. Okay, do you have a case that just might stand out with you that you want to talk a little bit about?
Sure. We help a lot of people. I help a lot of people on Facebook. So a lot of people reach out through there, and one case stands out where the mom was sleeping till like 4 o'clock in the afternoon. Like, she was keep the baby, and the baby would sleep, so she would sleep, and it was wrecking their whole life, because then depression was setting in because she was sleeping too much, even though she thought that the baby wasn't sleeping enough. So it's like we have to have a balance. It's a catch-22. So, and what people don't realize is that babies, you need to wake them up for the day so that they know a schedule. Like, a lot of times parents just think, oh, they fed it, you know, so they're on a 3-hour feed schedule, they fed at 5, so we'll wake them up at 8. Well, the next night they fed at 4, so we're going to wake them up at 7. It's so inconsistent. So pick a time that's specific. I had one client that emailed me and she goes, oh, you've never heard anything like our case. And I just laughed because I've heard every case in the books. And I told her, no, it's okay, tell me what's going on. And she had an 8-month-old and a 3-year-old. And I was like, I don't train 3-year-olds. Like, that's a parent's responsibility, but I'll give you the tips. Ended up going in and training both the kids, but they didn't need to be trained. It was actually the parents that needed to be adjusted and know what to do. And that's really what training is about. We don't really work with kids as much as we work with parents.
You're in charge, not the kids,
Mhm.
right?
Right.
But also the other thing I want to say is being on a schedule. Everybody used to laugh at me. For me, I'm more of that type of a person anyway. I need to be more
Yeah.
on one. I have to do the same thing every day. I'm kind of weird like that. I'm not. I don't know if I'm like 8%. Like I don't know about probably. But whatever.
Type A.
but yeah, I think
true.
it's a good thing. I don't know, but being on that schedule for
Mhm.
me was so important because it helped me.
Yeah.
I didn't know I was doing good at the, you know, with the sleeping department in the interim. I didn't know that, but for me it worked, and I would think that for anyone. I know even down to where I wanted them to sleep in their beds. I didn't want them to be in the cribs. I didn't want them to be like, you know, strolling around in the mall doing their naps. I just didn't like
Yeah.
that.
One of the things I would do and give a tip is don't just use the crib for sleep, because a lot of times we've created where kids start screaming because they're going in the room and they don't want to excuse me, they don't want to go in there because they're going to go to sleep. So make sure there's some playtime in the crib while you're putting clothes away, so that it's not just a sleep area,
Mhm.
and then they won't cry so much because it's not like they're going to bed.
Right? They might not know.
You have to
it.
trick them.
Yeah, I know, but that's
a
okay.
little trick.
Again, it's SummerSleepSecrets.com, and the phone number to call her direct is 866-976-4944. I'm going to talk about this now real quickly because, you know, we're talking a lot about infants, but you also said that you do help even adults, and you've been talking, and
Right.
you've got a book, you've got a lot of stuff that's going on.
Right. So one of the things that we were just talking about too is there was, I don't know, any of you guys like science? Because like I'm a total science geek and research. So one of the things is there was a Peter Tripp. Look him up. And he
I
an
did while she was, I
experiment.
couldn't believe it. Look it up, guys.
He did an experiment in Times Square in 1959 with 201 hours of awake, and it technically, it destroyed his life.
It did.
And it really, sleep is mandatory. It is not something we can give up.
So how many people out there right now have been dealing with sleep deprivation, which, you know, sometimes it's happened. I've had it one time happen to me years and years and years ago. Well, for whatever reason, I woke up, I think it was about the same time every night, and I could not go back to sleep, And it was terrible for me. And then there's some people that don't sleep well almost every night, and you can help people with that. So it doesn't matter what age you really are.
No, I mean, it's honestly, I can give you a sleep pattern that would work for each person in general. Yeah, it's mandatory. It's like, we got to do it.
When I heard her telling the story, I was like, you know, come on. And you know what? I looked it up. Look it up. It's really true. His name is what?
Peter Tripp.
Peter Tripp.
In
And
1959.
you'll see the whole story's right there. It's a little bit about him, but then there's a little box there that shows about the sleep deprivation. And it's very interesting.
Well, one thing too is that he, you know, 3 days, 4 days in, he started hallucinating. I mean, we get so exhausted. I mean, truck drivers know this. We all know this. When we take long trips, we're tired. We start missing exits because we're like, oh my gosh, did I just have a microburst?
Did that happen to me too? No, I don't know. Anyway, listen, guys, you got to check that out. But more so than anything, you got to check out Summer. She's awesome, and she's going to be in a movie soon to be coming up, a book. We've got a lot of stuff to talk about. Her website, again, it's SummerSleepSecrets.com. Hang on tight. We'll be back in just a minute. So we're live now. We're going to continue to go live still. So it's been really neat. So exciting. So when you come back, what are the things that you want to talk about that I'm not, maybe have not, you
So
pretty much right here anyway right now?
I think so. I think we're at 4. What the brain does. We need to talk about that.
Okay,
And then we
where
kind
is
of
it?
talked about him already.
Okay.
We kind of jumped ahead to him.
Right, I did. I just wanted to do that because I wanted you to talk about adults a little
Yeah,
bit.
I think adults are really important. And the brain is going to talk about the adults too.
Okay,
And then we can go back to babies.
so we're on 4 right now, and then we'll go back to babies.
Yeah. I'm just asking a general question on babies. Or you could ask me, like, what's the difference between holistic approach and a cried out approach? There's 2 different styles. There's actually like 6.
Did you say cry a lot?
Yeah, cried out.
Oh.
It's like the term they use for extinction.
Anything?
Hmm?
Okay. Okay.
No, we're good.
Just checking on things.
Yeah, so you can ask anything about sleep and I pretty much can cover it.
Yeah,
pretty,
no, I
pretty
know.
ad-lib and-
I'm telling you, I think it would be so cool if you could open it up to the audience and just talk about,
Oh my gosh.
you know, sleep. It'd be pretty cool.
Yeah, I mean, there's just so much behind the science of why sleep is so important. I mean,
How are you doing, by the way? You look fantastic.
yeah, no, my leg is totally back to normal.
Good.
I have a little bit of hip issue, but I think it's because it wasn't being worked. So
Okay.
when I twist or something, it'll
Yeah, you
hurt.
look so much better. I
But-
mean, your eyes and everything.
Yeah.
You just more
I
alert.
lost like 15 pounds after. It's just like once I started working and
Yeah.
walking, it just was.
Good.
I'm
Yeah.
I'm doing really good. They also settled the settlement, so
Oh, good.
so in 18 weeks of the accident.
That's not
yeah.
that bad.
No, we got 150,000.
That's nice.
So.
That's a nice settlement. I think. I don't know what happened.
I don't know.
know what the guy's policy was and stuff like that.
It's based on his policy.
Yeah,
so.
yeah.
But you know, whatever. You know, at this point, I'm just happy that it's over and I can move
Yeah.
on. I mean, I'm
Of
gonna
course.
have issues later, but we'll just resolve that with the insurance. So
Well, hopefully you won't.
I'm hoping not. I'm young enough. Let's hope.
Yeah.
Hopefully it's
Oh,
20
my
years from
goodness
now for knee
gracious.
surgery.
Yeah. Yeah.
But my knee feels good. It's not popping out at all anymore.
Good. That's awesome.
So.
That's good. Oh my
Yeah.
God, what a terrible thing.
Yeah, well, and you know, that's the one thing about the Bossing Up book is that all the things I've gone through and I still am successful. Like, I don't look at it as a bad thing. I looked at
Right.
it was an experience
Right,
to
right,
have
right.
and how we
Oh,
have
I
to
agree.
progress through that.
Oh, I
So,
agree. Yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
A
Yeah.
lot of people can
Good
get
train of
stuck
thought. Yeah.
with something like that and use it. I can't.
I agree.
Almost. I don't know. I find sleep so fascinating.
What's that?
Because I find sleep so fascinating. Like, it's just the science is amazing.
Oh, I think it's neat too. I love it. You've got to do it. You got to do the science of sleep. Of Summer Sleep's Secrets. You got the name already. Welcome back, everyone. We've been talking with Summer Hartman, the owner of Summer's Sleep Secrets, and you know, she was talking about how she's so scientific and everything, and how sleep is scientific. And you've been doing this for how long?
I've been working with babies and families for 14 years.
For 14 years. And, you know, we want to talk, of course, about the babies, but we're right now talking a little bit about adults.
Yeah.
And I want to go kind of back to that real quickly, because a lot of people out there, if you're dealing with any kind of sleep problems, issues, Summer can help. It really doesn't matter how old you are. Obviously, you specialize in infants, right?
Yeah.
But you know, and she works nationwide. She does free consultations with everyone, and she's A+ rated with the Better Business Bureau. Her number direct is 866-976-4944. It's summersleepsecrets.com. The other thing that I wanted to talk a little bit about too is like in your research. What has anything that stands out to you with what happens in your brain and the loss of sleep and all of that?
Well, when we're sleeping, our brain actually will shrink and fill with fluid. Years ago, 1950s, they would think that our brain just shut down and we had nothing going on when we sleep. But we actually...
I kind of thought that too.
We're kind of repairing ourselves with neurons.
Okay.
And so it fills with liquid while we're sleeping, and then there's neurons repairing. And so when we have short memory loss, it's because we're not getting enough sleep because our brain's not
That's
repairing.
my problem. Okay, good.
So we have to definitely get that rest so that we retain that short memory. So that's why sleep is partially one of the reasons it's so important. The other is that without sleep, we don't function correctly. Our brain function is everything. Just like they say the gut, it covers the brain. Well, if we don't sleep and rest, we're not actually able to function during our day.
That's what everybody's problem is, because we're not getting enough. In
Right, we
general,
need sleep.
how much time do you need a night to sleep?
So-
Babies versus teens
Okay.
and all that. Let's go down the line.
All right, so great. She's testing me, everybody. So babies are about 10 to 12 hours a night, but in overall 24 hours, they need, depending upon the age, up to 16 hours of sleep in a 24-hour period. Then you have kids are about 12 hours, some are 10 in a 24-hour period. Then you have teenagers, and their teenagers are fascinating. I have two, sort of, and they're more adult-like now. But they go to bed around 1 o'clock in the morning because their sleep just isn't. They're not ready for sleep. They're wired. Whereas seniors need to go to bed by 7 or 8 in the evening.
Oh my God,
So
I don't do that.
it's like when you so seniors revert. I
I'm
find
in
seniors
trouble.
so fascinating.
7 or 8.
Like
I'm
70.
just trying to figure out how to have dinner by 7.
I know, me too. But seniors actually take a lot of naps. And so if you nap before 3, you're okay. But if you nap after 3, it's going to mess with your...
So let's clarify that, because I have to. I got to stop you right there.
Okay.
Because when you talk about seniors,
Yeah.
there's seniors and there's seniors. Because
Yeah.
I'm a senior
I'm talking about 70 years old and older.
and older. Okay, good.
Okay,
Because
so
I
a senior
just
is
want to
70
make that
years
clear. Because, you know,
Yeah.
some
So-
of us do work and have to work even though we're
Yeah.
seniors.
But again, even myself, I'm 42 and I nap. So, it's like
So
I
we
totally
really
get
should
it.
be taking a nap during the day?
You can totally take a nap, but you only do it for 20 minutes and it should be before 3 p.m.
Okay, go
You
ahead.
need enough sleep depth.
All right.
like
Do you
build.
go to bed and do that, or can you do it like at your chair, or what?
Some people do it in their chair. You only want 20 minutes, so it should be a quick nap. It's just like,
Okay.
just to revive you a little bit.
They do that in, I think,
In Spain, they do that
They
definitely
do.
in Spain. Yeah.
Mhm. Go ahead.
So there's that aspect. Sleep is different for everyone. Some people don't need a lot of sleep. So it's based on genetics. You may want to be tested and just find out what your genetics is.
How would you know? How do they know through your genetics of how much
Blood
sleep you
work.
should be getting?
Blood work, history. I don't know. I'm not a
That's
scientist,
amazing.
so they would have to check that.
Well, that's pretty interesting,
But
though.
genetics is a big play on it.
So that's where your brain comes in.
Mhm.
Anything else on that you want to talk about?
Not really. Just the fact that the brain does function better and you will have more, retain more memory if you get more rest.
You know, it's pretty obvious that
Yeah.
you would, but the problem is when you're dealing with you might be your sleep patterns, it might be when you're doing
Yeah.
your things, your daily life. This is where Summer comes in.
So the thing is like you have to have a routine. Just like babies have a routine, adults should have a set bedtime and a set wake time. And also don't set an alarm. That was one of the biggest things the scientists said. Don't set an alarm. Wake up when your body wakes up, naturally. See, our body knows what rest it needs. So we jolt awake when we get an alarm, and it scares our body.
It does me every morning.
Every morning,
I
right?
jump out. Like,
So
oh my
our
God.
heart races. So they said actually naturally wake up to the best, and then you're the most awake, and you feel good.
Makes a lot of sense. Let's go back to you and your holistic approach to what you do, as
Yeah.
opposed to it's cry it out, which I never heard that, but that's
Well,
what's the
crying
difference?
out is extinction. It's been around since 1959.
Of course, in 1959, let him cry it out.
So, the extinction works for some babies, and we do use that. Holistic is just looking at the whole approach. So we look at the whole picture, what's happening during the day, the clothes, the parent's reaction. Everything is just, we look at the whole picture and adjust it where it's needed so that it's a more holistic approach.
In the COVID event that's going on right now, how are you working with your people?
Oh gosh.
On that kind
So
of
we
stuff.
have moved more virtual for sure.
Everybody has.
I've already been doing it for years. So to me it hasn't really nothing's changed much.
Right.
I can sleep train a baby over the phone easily.
Wow.
So it's not a big deal. But that's pretty much what in our industry is going towards is
A
virtual.
lot of people are going that. They're going to be changing the way we do things completely.
Yeah, we're using FaceTime and Zoom,
Mhm.
just to see the babies, evaluate the bedrooms, evaluate the house.
And so when you work with people and you're working this way virtually and all of that, does it matter? It doesn't matter if you're an adult or a baby. You can do that over the phone too.
Yeah, I can just help them over the phone. It's just to have them explain what their situation is. Most of us just need little tweaks.
You know, I
And-
think that you said it. It just depends on their situation.
Mm-hmm.
And everyone, especially with a family, it doesn't matter. It's all about your situation, and it starts off with a conversation
Yeah.
with you. You have to find out a little bit about them, how they live,
Yeah.
all that kind of stuff too.
Yeah.
Does it go down to where where you actually help them with their feeding and things like that?
So we look at, like, I definitely adjust what they eat, how many ounces they're getting. Also, starting solids too late is a huge issue because babies need to eat.
How old should they start? Or does that differ with everyone?
It differs a little bit depending upon the babies, but most of the time the AAP guidelines says 6 months. So they want you nursing to 6 months. Now, some babies start a little sooner, but we want to make sure they're eating the right foods and they're getting what they need. And like, we start with avocado, but avocado is acidic, so some kids can actually have worse
I didn't start with an avocado.
Yeah, see,
that's because you're the holistic approach. I started off with
oatmeal and
I think
rice.
it was cream and wheat or something like that. Yeah.
So we used to do that, but now they're suggesting that we actually start with vegetables.
Really? I mean, I happen to have made my kids. I was trying to be super
I did it with
mom,
mine too. Don't
maybe
worry.
For a week. Go ahead.
I did rice with my kids too.
Yeah,
I mean, this is, we had them young. 2000.
Let me tell you what my parents did. You don't want to know. Go ahead.
No, we don't. Corn mush.
It's a lot different then.
I don't think that there's a right or wrong way to feed your children, just that we need to start ASAP.
How about adults? We know with obviously that you specialize in babies, in infants, but you said you also talk about this with adults too.
Right.
Just food and all of that play into the way that they are. Really? Okay.
Absolutely. Okay, so if let's say you're exercising and you're out to lose a ton of weight, but the person that you're instructing you doesn't talk about sleep, then you're not going to lose the weight, because sleep and weight loss go hand in hand. So you want to make sure you talk to a sleep expert while you're exercising and setting up your routine, because if you don't, you may not lose the weight you were expecting. So sleep manages everything.
Sure, makes a lot of sense. And right now, a lot of people out there are dealing with, you got more time, and you might have a little bit more time.
Yeah.
Excuse me, to be hanging out and kind of organizing things if you're not working right now. But this could be that maybe you're dealing with stress.
Okay, so like one thing you want to do is make your room. I'm gonna have a couple of seconds here. Make your room as comfortable as possible. White bedding, white sheets, clean sheets. Make it really like
heaven.
Heaven, exactly. You want to make sure that you have a plant in your room that absorbs dust, because we can breathe in a lot of dust. You want an air purifier on. You can sleep in silk or nude. I know it's the radio, but
that's not a bad word.
But anyway, so there's things that make you comfortable. You also want to write down in a journal any kind of problems you're having in your head. Write it down right before you go to bed so that you've released it. And then come back to it, and you can pay your bills the next day. So
I am so glad that you had the chance to be able to say that and got that out for me. Thank you very much, because you know what? Little tips like that are really cool. Are a lot of those on your website?
Actually, give me a call.
Yeah, give her a call, because right now she can everybody's situation is different. She works nationwide. The number to call her, it's 866-976-4944. It's SummerSleepSecrets.com.